Okay guys, so you want to buy E39. So E39 was a 96 to 2003 BMW 5 Series. These cars are starting to get a lot cheaper. A lot of people are wanting to buy them. You could find a really cheap deal on them on Craigslist. So I'm going to show you some stuff to look for before you buy one, because the car may not be such a good deal even if it is cheap. Alright, so this is a BMW E39, and even though this one has a front bumper off of it because we're going to do engine swap on it, you still get the idea. So there's many things that can make this car not really worth it for your average buyer, especially if your average buyer knows nothing about fixing cars. In general, this probably is a terrible car for you. Okay, we're going to start with the very first thing you want to look for. Look at the paint. Look in the reflection of the paint. If you can see it or not. This thing's kind of dirty. And it has some spider webs on it. But look in the reflection, and can you see any ripple, any orange peel per se? Also come up here to the hood. Look and make sure all the body lines are correct. This hood is actually open a little bit, and make sure everything aligns properly. Now, in this as you replace them, the headlights are going to be super foggy. It's just kind of a BMW. It's kind of an any car thing anymore these days. So check all the body lines out. Check the lines on the doors out, and you want to make sure all the door handles work. Make sure all the power windows work. That's not an expensive fix. If you can do it yourself, take it to a shop, that is a very expensive fix. You could easily tie up $1,000 just in that or more. So basically what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to cold start the car. Cold start the car. Is there any smoke coming out of it? If there's steam, take your hand down by the exhaust and kind of whiff it up to your nose and take a smell of it. I mean, don't put your face in the exhaust, of course. Take a smell of it. What does it smell like? Does it smell sweet? Does it smell oily? Or does it smell just like regular exhaust with no problems? So now there's a little bit of variance on this from the later cars in 99 and up. 99 and up has a few other problems, but first of all, they all have a problem with the mirrors turning blue. But 99 and up is going to have an issue with the seat backs breaking, with the mechanism having issues, and they call it the seat twist. So don't recline the seats all the way back and up, but make sure you could go up and down with the back of the seat. Make sure it's not twisting. Make sure that functions properly. We have our parts stuck in here in case you're wondering. It's not just trash. That's another common issue. These all have common issues with the seat trim being broken. That's not going to keep you from driving the car. It's just very expensive and very annoying to fix. The next thing we're going to look at here, go and hop in it. I don't think this car is a battery hooked up. Check the pixels out on the stereo. Are the pixels, can you read the stereo? Can you read the odometer? Or is it all broken up? Most of these cars have that problem. Oh, the spider's in here. I wonder where that spider's at. As I'm sitting here, I wonder where that spider's at that made that web. Or that web. I don't know. Really need to fix this car. Because when things sit around, they tend to go to hell. So, check the heater controls. Are there buttons missing? That's not too expensive to fix. Start the car up. Is the check engine light on? Is the airbag light on? Make sure the transmission cog indicator is not on. It's just a good idea to bring a scanner with you. Go and scan the car in case it has a pending problem, but it's not throwing check engine light. You can scan it. Any generic scanner could do that. The next thing is feel the carpets. Are any of the carpets wet? Open up the back door. The back is the most important. Is the back carpet wet? There's so many spider webs in this car. And this car is not wet. So check all that. Check the door panels. Are the door panels all broken and kind of dangling? Is there stuff missing for the door panels? that could be indication somebody's been doing the window regulators. They probably have, and therefore they probably did not put the moisture barriers back in correctly, which might be why your floor is wet. Those are real common standard issues. Check stuff like this. Make sure all the weather stripping is correct. Make sure in the door jamb you cannot see where it's been repainted to a different color. All that stuff may not stop you from buying it. Those are some of the more mild problems. Let's go and get into suspension and engine. So my favorite inspection to do is reach in, feel the inside of the back tires. Are they bald? Do they have tread on them? There's some rear control arms that go bad, upper control arms that go bad. Do the tires look like they're angled in on top and the back? Could need some control arms, could need some adjustment, or both. The next thing is, this thing has aftermarket wheels, so it's kind of hard to tell. Go drive the car. Does the car shake when you hit bumps? Does it clunk? More than likely it probably does. Another way you could tell is take your foot, put on the tire, and roll it back to the back. Is there movement? That's possible movement in the thrust arm bushing. You know, there's many different variables. So basically what you're going to do is just give an overall inspection. These cars can be money pits if you don't know where to buy the parts, or if you cannot work on it yourself. Now for the biggest issue, the engine. This one's semi taken apart. It's got the fan out, it's got the airbox out, it's got the cowling out. Other than that, it's pretty much complete. So these cars have a lot of nasty mechanical issues, and even if you have a car that has a ton of receipts from a dealer, that's not going to save you. That's a really huge misconception. That might give you a little guidance what's been done. Whether it's been done correctly or with the right parts, that's anybody's guess. So having a book full of receipts is just kind of like it's a false safety, to be honest with you. So these cars have a lot of coolant system problems. We have a thermostat, which is right here. So what are you going to look for first of all when you open up the hood? Is the thermostat look like it's factory? Do the hoses look like they're all bulged out? Can you see any drips? Is there stuff broken at the coolant tank? Is the screw all stripped out? You know, there's a lot of variables to it. While the car is in here, you can look. Is the throttle body boot cracked like this one's got a big giant hole in it? Is there oil leaking at the oil filter housing? Crawl under the car. Is there oil leaking under the car? There probably is. Is there oil dripping on the ground? You have to evaluate. All these engines leak oil. You have to evaluate how bad it is. There is something you need to ask the owner. When was the last time the transmission fluid has been changed? That is a crucial step. They're probably not going to have any idea. And for you guys to see my other videos of doing that, you do have to remember to fill the transmission while it's running. That's not that expensive, but a car that has 150,000 miles on it and has never had the fluid changed, that car is going to have transmission wear problems. BMWs don't have a lot of transmission issues if you change the fluid. The cars that you don't change the fluid often enough, those are the cars that you're going to have issues with, that are going to have premature wear in a valve body, that are going to have all kinds of bizarre things happening. So I guess the next thing is, this applies for, I would say, the 96 and 98 with the single vanos. They like to crack the valve cover really bad back in this area between 4 and 5 or 3 and 4. Also the 1999 to 2001 with the M62, I'm sorry, 1999 and 2000 M62 TU, they cracked the valve cover, which is this style valve cover with these style coil packs. 2001, which is what this car is, they had the old style coil packs like this and this valve cover. This valve cover is known for cracking. In 2002, they changed it to the E90 style push-in coil packs, and they reinforced the valve cover. Those valve covers can still crack, but they're a lot less likely to crack. And pretty much the next thing you're going to want to do is, when you cold start the car, listen to it. Is it all ticky? I mean, is it smoking? You know, like I said before, smell the exhaust. Is there smoke coming from the exhaust coming up? That would indicate a valve cover leak. Is it misfiring on cold start, but once it warms up it's fine? That could be the van seals could be toast. That could be oil in the spark plug valley. It could be a bad coil pack. There's a lot of different variables to that. You know, anything with a flashing check engine light and then it goes off is going to be a misfire. So the next thing you're going to want to do is ask the owner if it's ever been overheated. The owner is probably not going to tell you that, but how you could tell usually if there's an issue is on this coolant tank you'll see like a white residue, and all over here be a white residue speckled all over it, and it kind of looks like this. That's just kind of dirt, but that's going to be a telltale sign. You know, also look at the radiator. You can see with the fan shroud on it, look down in it. Does it look old? I mean, that could be a potential future problem. So the worst part with these engines are with the engines from 99 to 2003, so M52 TU and M54, they love to strip out the head bolt threads in the block when they get overheated. So the symptoms of that are smoking white, misfire, pressurizing the coolant, and you want to go squeeze the coolant lines. If the car's been off, like when you pull up and you squeeze them and they're rock hard, that's usually a telltale sign that's going on. For most people that with no mechanical knowledge, that's not a fixable issue. That's a new engine, and you know, just tons and tons of issues. These cars have a lot of parts on them to get the fuel economy they do and achieve a decent amount of power. They have the DISA valve that could go bad. The starters are somewhat prone to go bad. That's not a hard change, but if you've never done it before, that's going to be very, very, very costly. Oxygen sensors, the lights on for the oxygen sensor, that's not a very cheap fix either if you have to take it somewhere especially. Next, talk about consumables. So I would say the normal adding rate of coolant to one of these cars, and let me be clear, this is excluding 540 at all. A 540i, if you're not level 10 mechanic, which that I mean you're not willing to pull the engine out, you're not willing to do extensive mechanic work, do not buy a 540i. That thing will get you with those timing chain guides. It'll get you and keep getting you for years to come. Anyway, let's go back on topic. The fill rate from the coolant, all these engines you're gonna have to add coolant every once in a while. I would say if you drive the car a lot, if you drive 40-50 miles a day, once a week, once every other week, you have to add a tiny bit of coolant to it, like a coffee cup. That's normal. Oil, I would say if you're consuming a quart between oil changes, that's pretty normal for these. That doesn't mean there's a problem. That's just kind of the rate that they use it at. A lot of that's going to depend on the quality of your PCV or CCV, which is a crankcase ventilation valve. A lot of that's going to depend on if you're running a catch can or if you're not. Those tend to stop a lot of the oil usage problems. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I would say general consensus, if you don't know how to work on a car, do not buy one of these cars unless you're so filthy rich that you could afford to go to the shop or the dealership. And by that I would mean 100 plus grand a year. If you're making 100 plus grand a year, you're not going to be buying a $2,000 BMW E39. So the very final statement I'll make: how much are these cars worth? A broken E39, like a good strong 530 that needs some issues, the engine is good, usually they'll sell for, I would say, $800 to $1,500 in a broken state. Top dollar for a 530, which usually commands the most money of all the E39s, a good running quality 530 like this one has 138,000 miles on it. We put the engine in this, do the swap, we'll put some nice wheels back on it. I think the highest of the market, about $3,000 if you're super lucky and it's super nice. I would say 3,500 is going to be about max. An 03 M package, M Tech 530, maybe it'll bring 4, maybe. But at $4,000, you're already getting into E60 stuff, you're getting into E90 stuff. A 540i, a broken 540i, $500 to $800, one with timing chain guides that are blowing in it. An E39 with 200,000 plus miles, 220,000 miles. I would say you'd be lucky to get $2,000, $2,500 out of it if you're super lucky. So that's the price points. That's what I know about E39s. I'm sure there's 1,000 things I'm missing. That's just a good place to start. That's it for the video, guys. Hopefully it helps you out, and we'll see you later.